Hospitality Hustler. Welcome to Hospitality Hustlers, episode 3. I am your host, Jeremy Worth, alongside my co-host, Mr. 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗁. Kyle, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I am fantastic. Fantastic. Was coming off of a awesome week in Nashville.
Yep.
Lots of
Yep.
great content.
Still
Great.
high off the conference.
Yeah, man. How can you not be, right? It was
Right?
awesome. It was awesome
I
between the
loved it.
content and the speakers and the networking. I just hard to beat. Shout out to to Mike and Bill and their teams and Chris. Chris is the man behind it all.
Yeah.
They really leveled up this year in all aspects. I think that's
Yeah, I would
been
say.
my
Yeah. I would say, like, if you went to the first or second conference, because this is the third. If you went to the first or second one, we had it in a different area, and it was just massive. Like, the event
yeah.
space was massive. They had these massive booths. STR Secrets, we did, listings and lattes. I'm pretty sure we had the busiest booth there. Like, dude, it was crazy. Like, there's
I,
there's a manager in my area, and I didn't tell you this, but there's a manager in my area that they've got like 220 listings, and they've been around a long time. And he came and just sat down in the booth, and I didn't know who he was. I was like, "Hey, man, what's going on? You want some coffee? Like, you got any listings struggling?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually, we'll take a look at a couple." And I was like, "Wait!" And he had a hat on that said his company name, and he was like, "I was like, wait, do you work for this company?" He was like, "I own it." I was like, "Sweet, dude." Because we have, like, the abundance mindset, right? Like, we don't
right.
really have full competition. So we're like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." So we start talking and we start chit-chatting. He ended up leaving for lunch. Got him a coffee. We didn't look at any listings. We just chatted about everything. So we met some crazy people there, some really high-level people just getting started, people transitioning from one industry to another. I mean, it was it was the best one yet. I would definitely agree with that. Like,
Yeah.
it was up there. So, I know you wanna talk about you have some stuff you wanna talk about, but so I'm just gonna tee it up for you, and you just take it home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I think there were two between all the presenters. I think the two overwhelming themes between them were branding and marketing and mindset.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
kind of hitting on hitting on the branding side of things first, branding and marketing. Mark 𝗙cie, founder of Minoan. A couple things that stood out for me with his presentation. He mentioned thoughtful hospitality. And it goes back to what we were talking about last episode about unreasonable hospitality, kind of going the extra mile. He said you need to be customer obsessed and know your guest avatar. And the excuse me, the example that he gave, was if your avatar is for bachelorette parties, you want to target and host bachelorette parties. What are some things that, little things that you can throw in there, but really capture them. For that one, he mentioned, full length mirrors, having a quality hair dryer, and then offer some sort of like Instagrammable IG spot within the property for them to take their group photos and share out. This was mentioned last year, but it was brought up again. I think is going to be the theme. One of the things for people to keep in mind going forward is you don't want to be caught in the middle. You need to differentiate yourself. Don't be. I remember one of the first things I remember when I was getting into the SDR space, listening to Bill. I think it was Bill on Mike's podcast. Is he? He said you don't want to be in the middle 80%. Or sorry, the middle 60%. Either you want to be in the top 20 or the bottom 20. But if you're in the middle, you get lost. And then one of the And Mark quoted Peter Thiel as saying, "Competition is for losers." He said, "Find ways to stand out against competition." So, but yeah, what do you got on that?
I think it goes back like it started, I'd say a year or two ago. Like the idea of like buying a Airbnb and then just throwing it on Airbnb
Mm,
and making money is over. It's been over. And it's just a reoccurring thing, like what you said. Like it's a reoccurring theme that if you're gonna do it, you do have to know your avatar because that's starting to be like the first question is like, who's coming here? It's like when we throw stuff out in the group, especially areas we don't know, we're always asking the person like, who is your avatar? If you don't understand that, like you don't understand the market. If you don't understand the market, you don't know like you're gonna lose money. So when it goes into the branding and the like you start there, and then it's about that kind of pulls over into like the branding side, like the pillows, the coffee mugs. We stayed at a B&B for with Shane, um, and we stayed at one of his places in Kissimmee. And we go in and it's like a pillow that's branded with his stuff. It's not like branded like the house name or anything like that. It was just like follow us on Instagram, stay with us again. I don't remember the name of of his company.
hmm
And I told Allie, I was like, look at this. Like we should be doing this. But we should be doing this, yes, for Cherokee Rose Homes, but we should be trying to push all the owners to do stuff like this. And so that just kind of like builds out that marketing side is you're building a name, like all those names need to come back into Airbnb and all like I firmly believe that you have to bring all those names back. It's like a year ago, we did away with the names for all the cabins. We did away with all the names and we were just like putting all the amenities in the titles. And they switched the algorithm. They switched it again. They switched it again. And so I'm really like really firm on you have to have the name because it goes back to searching for it. Like they stay there once and they want to return, they just search for, like we have one, Blue Fox Den. So you search for Blue Fox Den online, it'll come up Airbnb. I mean, they own the SEO, but they'll come up on Airbnb. And so if you do that, and then you have the sign Blue Fox Den, and then you have the pillows Blue Fox Den, and then you have the stuff throughout the house, and then you just create this huge experience. And it goes back to like being obsessed. Everything is branded. Everything. Facebook page, the Google My Business page, like all of that stuff has to go around, especially if you get into like the quote unquote like super properties or the high end properties, $750,000 plus, million plus, like you have to do that. And have the landing pages. Like my STR market, go STR marketing. Sam built that out. I would say if you don't know what that is, like definitely go down that route. So the brand, like it's when we had the STR boom over the last few years, you have to stand out. You can't
Yeah.
again, you can't just list it and then just be like, "Oh, yeah, it's gonna make money." And so, like, we guide people through that and help people understand that and say, like, it's bigger than this. I mean, we do pictures with our, logo on the bottom. They know if they're swiping through Airbnb, they know when they hit one of our houses, it says Cherokee Rose Homes on the page, like on the pictures.
Right.
So, I mean, it really goes back to being obsessed. So, and that kind of rolls into mindset. Be obsessed with whatever you're doing. So if you're being obsessed with Blue Fox Den, I'm going to use that one. That's like a staple property for us. I love that one. It's got a putt course and all that. But if you're gonna be obsessed, be obsessed. If you're gonna do it right, be obsessed, and that's it. Be obsessed with the avatar. Be obsessed with the amenities. Be obsessed with the property quality, the branding, the marketing, the guest relations, everything. Be obsessed, and you'll be freaking good at it, and you'll be successful. That's really what it's about. So if you
Putt
just
putt
swim on the
course.
top of the water, you're not going to
Yeah.
get anywhere. So I would say you agree. I know you agree.
Oh, I
Everybody
agree.
agrees.
100%. Putt putt course. Can tell you're from the South. We don't call it
Why?
putt putt up here.
What do you call it? Mini golf?
Mini golf. Yeah.
Mini golf? No, dude, it's putt putt. 100%. 100%.
Putt
I'll
putt.
take a poll right now.
Do you say
Putt putt it
soda or
is.
do you say pop?
Soda, dude. I don't say pop. You say
You're
pop?
from you're from you're from no. I don't say pop. I say
I
soda. But
actually
you're from
say
Georgia,
Coca-Cola. Like if it's a Coke, I say Coca-Cola.
right? But what if
I don't
it's
know
like
why.
what if it's an orange? What if it's an orange soda? You say pop?
It's like, I say give me an orange soda. Give me a Fanta.
Okay.
No,
Fanta.
I don't say pop. Pop is not
Right.
in my vocabulary. So, but
Okay.
anyways, yeah.
All right. Do you say aunt or last one? Do you say aunt or aunt?
Aunt, dude, 100%.
Aunt.
You say aunt, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
What's
AU.
wrong
It's
with you
not
guys?
AN.
I know. Well, I don't know why they threw a U in there because that's not like it doesn't belong. It's just aunt. It's just an aunt.
Gotcha.
I can do this all day. I can tell you
Yeah.
all the
All
words
right.
you say wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
You say,
um.
where do I park my car? Is that what you say? Where do I park my car?
Well, if I was in Boston, yeah, I would, but I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
and I don't have a Maine. I grew up in Maine. I don't have a Maine accent either. So,
Matt McDonald, he
uh,
does that. He's like, "Where's the car?" I'm like, "Dude, you get out of here. Just get out of here, man." So, but
yeah,
yeah,
they don't.
okay.
They don't. They don't
So,
have ours. They got H's. All right. So yeah, sticking with branding. Kind of moving on. Flow Agency. They were there. They did a. They were one of the presenters. One of the things that they, or a few of the things that they mentioned, a brand without traffic is nothing. And obviously they're a marketing agency. What can you provide better than anyone else? Um, and the best way for you to know, like, or trust, or the best way for someone to know, like, or trust you is through visual content. I think that sums up pretty well as far as being being on the socials and creating content and putting it out there.
yeah.
One thing I thought it was an interesting quote, and I'm wondering, I don't necessarily disagree with it, but wondering what your thought on it is. OTAs are the training wheels.
Is that a question or is that a statement?
Well, yeah, just what's your do you agree, disagree, and why?
Um, yeah, I think the objective is for everybody to do direct booking.
Hmm.
I think everybody should be able to build the brand big enough and the awareness big enough where they're driving people back to direct book.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that they are training wheels necessarily. I would more say it's like use Airbnb as lead gen.
Yeah.
So they first see you on Airbnb, and if you can capture that guest off of Airbnb, great. Once they book through Airbnb, Expedia, I think it was Expedia CEO said the same thing. Like, my job is to get them in the door. If you can't get them to be a repeat guest, that's on you. Like,
Yep.
once you get there, you should be able to get them to come back through QR codes or links or discounts or whatever. Book now, book on your next stay, whatever. And that's where it goes back to the name. Like, I've stayed in a lot of cabins before we started managing, and it was like, I don't remember where it was. I don't remember what part of the city it was. I don't remember which side of the highway it was because I've searched. Like, there's one particular, like, back in the day, we went on a bachelor trip, like, way back in the day. Went on a bachelor trip, and we stayed at this beautiful cabin up on a hill. Um, I mean, it was beautiful. Like, it had, like, like, it was like a log cabin, but it wasn't a log cabin, and it had the probably the 14, 16-inch logs, like, inside the home in different places. It's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, like, $1.5 million, $2 million cabin. I cannot remember anything about it. I just remember the way it looks, but they didn't have any branding inside. I can promise you if I could remember the name of that place, if it had a name, because I know it didn't, if they had the signs up or they had something about it, I would remember and I would book it again. But I can't find it. And it's been years
Yeah.
ago. Now I've stayed in another one. It was like um Red Rooster. It was like Red Rooster Inn or something like that. It was a cabin. Roosters everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And then I searched it and I found it again. And my sister found it and she booked it because it has like a dog pen and all that stuff. It's those things that like people they remember, or like you go with a group of people and that's what they remember and that's how they book it. So if you go somewhere through Airbnb, there's no reason why they should book your Airbnb again because they know, like, and trust you. They've experienced it. They have the guest feedback. They have all that. And so you should offer something for them to direct book or send it to a friend and direct book. Like, it's a lead gen. It's not, I wouldn't say it's training wheels because we're always learning something new about Airbnb,
Yeah.
but it should be used as lead gen. Because we have a lot of people book direct while they're looking at Airbnb. They'll have the idea they've booked somewhere else and they're like, okay, I'm just going to keep going back to Blue Fox Den. They see it in the picture. They see the name. They see it in the picture. If they search Blue Fox Den again, I promise you it will come up because we have the
Yep.
website and all that kind of stuff. So you have to use it to your advantage. There's no reason you shouldn't be using both. And I would tell every big management company in Blue Ridge that too. There's no reason you shouldn't be using both Airbnb and VRBO, because there's a lot of big companies that's oldest companies out there. I'm not even going to name them, but there's some of the really big companies that have the big storefronts. They've been there forever. They've got 400 listings. They do not do Airbnb. But when I talk to an owner from there, they're like, occupancy is like 25%, 30%. Like, well, duh, because they can't even find you within their own platform. Like,
Yeah.
Is that not a problem? Yeah, it's a problem. So utilize Airbnb. Utilize it. Just get them to direct book next time. So,
Yep.
It just kind of goes back to that for me. Branding, marketing, all that kind of stuff just kind of rolls back in. If you want to do this for real, you want to do this next level, that's what you have to do.
Cool.
Period.
I agree. Yep. 𝗙markets Media. That was I can't remember his name. I just wrote 𝗙markets Media. Hank Norman. That's who that was. And they did a breakout session, so that he gave his presentation. Very chill, very relaxed. He was kind of just sitting back with his arm over. He was, but then they did a breakout session at the end where it was cool because it was a packed room. People stood up one at a time and kind of gave their story. No more than 2 minutes, and he basically worked with them to figure out what their brand hook was. So that was kind of cool.
What do you mean? I didn't go to that one. What do you mean? Elaborate.
So there was, and I can't remember what the brand hook was, but like there was one lady. She was in the mountains of Colorado. She worked in IT, and got her first STR in the last year, I believe. Got let go from her IT job back in December and decided it was going to be her mission to help others achieve freedom and success through short-term rentals, but basically wanted to do it, brand it as the FU to corporate.
Okay.
So, and again, I can't remember what was the brand hook for her, but there was another one, gentleman's fire captain in Los Angeles Fire Department, and he's in Bill's mastermind, and he ended up he achieved freedom through short-term rentals, and he wants to build out a network in a community of other first responders to achieve the same. And I believe, I think he was gonna settle on rescued by real estate.
Okay.
So it was kind of,
yeah. Okay.
tossing
I
out.
wasn't sure what you meant by like the brand hook exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess like pretty much your why and hooking and like
Exactly.
merging that into
Your
okay.
why within your brand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, a couple things that they've said, or he said, sell your audience to your audience, show them what you do, and immerse them in your branding. The brand hook is important.
Okay.
So
I'm with you. Now that makes sense. Now that you said that, it makes sense.
yeah.
Because I mean, like we have what is the name of your company?
So we are 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗁. Well, Worthwhile Stays is the LLC. So funny story. Last year, branding. Worthwhile Stays was the name that I came up with for the LLC, and that's what it is, as a play on my last name. And then I had a thought right before. It was either right before or at the conference. I was at the branding session that Mark Simpson and Bill did. And since we are currently focused on co-hosting in the White Mountain region of New Hampshire, and I knew there were some organizations. There was Run the Whites, for those crazy people that like to run mountains, and then there's Ski the Whites. I was like, well, shit, why can't we well, what about 𝗙𝗵𝗹𝗁? So I came up with that, threw it out there to Mark and Bill. They said, yes, absolutely do it. So we are, we're 𝗙𝗵𝗹𝗁.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
as far
The reason,
as,
go ahead.
like a brand hook, I think, I don't know exactly what it would be, but it would probably be something along the lines of, your home for your adventure, or I don't know, something like that.
Okay. Okay. So we have Cherokee Rose Homes, and I remember standing in one of the very first house that we did. I remember standing in it, and Allie called me. She was like, "I've got it. I've got the name. Here's the options." And it was Cherokee Rose Homes was part of it. And I was like, "What the hell is Cherokee Rose?" She was like, "That's the state flower of Georgia. That's where we manage." I was like, "How did you know that?" She said, "I didn't. I just looked it up." I just looked it up. But we incorporated something to do with Georgia in the place of,
Yeah.
because we say that, like, as we help people like startup companies and startup management companies and stuff, I I advise, like, don't keep it so specific on that one region. Like, we're in Blue Ridge, so because if you pivot and you pick up a couple other properties somewhere else, that name doesn't go together. Like, if I did Blue Ridge Stays, I have to stay in Blue Ridge. I can't pick one up in Copperhill, Tennessee. That's where we have the
Hmm.
hotel. So,
Yeah.
but to do something with like the mountains or the wind. So like, um, I've got one wandering winds, and they were in Sevierville. So that's awesome. I've got another one, Red Husky Rentals. I was like, that's pretty cool, but it has something to do with like that means something to them. I was like, but that's catchy. Red Husky Rentals. That's pretty dope. Like when
Hmm.
that was like a fallback of
Yep.
a fallback plan too. So, as everybody that's watching this, like as you build, build up a house and you brand it, yes. What'd you call it? A marketing hook? Is that what you said? Branding
Yeah.
hook?
Branding hook. Yeah.
So I like that name. But your hook needs to have something to do with the house. If you do a company and you're starting up a company like management company, and you're looking to grow in a certain area, do something that has come up with a name that's catchy, nothing too long, that has something to do with the area. I
Hmm.
mean, like Wandering Winds, I thought it was awesome. Cherokee Rose Homes does not have anything to do with Blue Ridge. It just has something to do with Georgia.
Yeah.
So if I could redo it, I think it's pretty catchy. I don't think Allie really likes it anymore. I don't think she likes the name anymore.
It's funny that you
So
brought it up, because I've always wanted to ask you. I hadn't, like, what is Cherokee Rose? Like, what's the significance of Cherokee Rose
you didn't know it was
Homes?
a state flower? Come on, dude. Everybody knows that.
I don't know. Guess what?
I had
Hey,
to
fun fact. Guess what Maine's flower is?
Cherokee tulip.
No, pine
Oh,
cone.
okay. What is it? A
The pine
pine
cone.
cone? Please God, don't make your
Where
name
the
a pine cone. Pine cone homes.
Well, I'm in New Hampshire, but and I don't even know the New Hampshire state flower. I just know Maine growing up there.
I actually
But
didn't believe her. I had to look it up. I was
yeah.
like, "No, dude, there's no way." So, okay, so that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So rolling off of the branding and becoming obsessed. I'll tee it up for you again. Just roll it into mindset.
Yeah. That's right. So mindset.
Wait, before we continue, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's to you, buddy.
Yeah, you thought I
Appreciate
forgot about you, didn't? Hey, oh, whoa, 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 wait. We have a bet going on.
it.
Can you do me a favor and stand up? Are you wearing
I have,
pants? That's what I want to
yeah,
know.
I am. I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. $200. I bet
I know.
yesterday.
I know. I missed out on 200 bones. Next time. Next time
Okay.
we'll quintuple or nothing.
I
How's
want to
that?
see your knee. Just show me your knee one time. Just show me your knee. I want to see it.
Me,
Okay, you got pants
jeans.
on. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
I
happy.
got pants on.
Okay.
um,
Anyways, man, I should have done that at the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. I
So,
was waiting for
okay.
it. I was waiting for it.
All right, continue.
My
Sorry.
my yeah, mindset. Angie Wisdom. Um, she did a great presentation. She a couple of things that she nuggets from hers was you must architect your success. Um, again, extreme ownership. Follow values, not emotion, and be intentional daily. Consistency.
What would you pull if you leave one nugget? What would you pull out of that?
Out of all that,
Reread them again and pick one.
you must architect success, follow values, not emotion, be intentional daily. Consistency. I would pull out be intentional daily.
Why?
Because if you are intentional daily, that hits on consistency. You be intentional daily, it will lead to the architect of your success. And if you are intentional, it will follow values, not emotion. What you got?
Interesting. I would say follow your values, not emotion, but I would reword it. It's something that we say all the time. And this goes off of kind of starting where I did this last night and I could keep going. I could do this for days. Knowing what you want kind of leads into that. So, we're going through a lot of mindset programs and stuff too. And knowing if you figure out what you want and really dive in deep, then you can make those decisions. And I relate that back to the knowing you're, making decisions based off your values, not your emotion, because if you know what you want, you can make the clear decision. Because every decision that comes across the plate or comes across the desk, you can say, like, does this align with what I want? Does this align with my goals? If not, you're going to be doing this emotion thing. So I went to a meetup last night. We launched Greenville last night.
Right.
And guy comes in and he's probably gonna be pissed if he watches this. But he comes in and he starts talking about flipping. And we used to flip. We flipped like, I don't know, 10 or 12 homes or something like that. And we don't flip anymore. We took a hard hit on the last one we did. And I said, let's get clear. Let's get clear on what we're buying. Let's get clear on what we want. Because what we were doing is we were just going over here because this made a little bit of money. Going over here because this made a little bit of money. Here was this shiny object on the other side of the fence. And so we got really clear on what we're buying. Clear on what we do. It's STR all the way. Either it's a hotel or management or whatever. Because this is what we're really freaking good at. This is what we do. Well, this guy comes in and, some people just have the big head and they are there to tell you how to do your life. And he says something about flipping. And I said, yeah, I used to flip, or no, he said, you should be flipping. That's what he said. You should be flipping. Because he asked me what we do. I said, we're STRs and stuff. He's like, no, you should be flipping. Like, okay. Like, no. And he's like, oh, well, why? Like, that's what you should be doing. I was like, well, flipping is a lifestyle. And I don't want to live that lifestyle anymore. We used to flip homes. And he was like, well, why'd you stop? I said, because we realized it's not what we want to do. So I'm not saying I would never flip another house again, but we don't now. And it's a lifestyle. You can't just get in and get out, get in, make $100,000 and get out. Like, it's not like that. You need to know, especially today. 3 years ago, you could buy a bag of dog poop and sell it. But today, like, you have to know the market. You have to know the realtors. You have to know the project. You have to know what your exit strategy is really going to be. Like, you have to know all this stuff, and you need to be underwriting and looking at deals and looking at deals. And 90% of them are not deals. So when I went through this, like, I didn't really go down that rabbit hole. I just said, it's a lifestyle that we don't want to live anymore. I used to flip. And he's like, well, why'd you stop? I just said, I just don't want to do it anymore. He said, yeah, but it'll make you good money. I said, it depends on, it's a relative term, but depends on what you want to do. And that's not what I want to do. And so we had this like battle back and forth. And I was like, not really a battle, because I was like, like, chill out.
Mhm.
And then after the meetup, standing outside talking to some really good guys, older gentleman, not older gentleman. I mean, he's probably in his mid 40s, and his son is 18, and his son loves buying and selling real estate. They have a management company. They got 44 units. Loves buying real estate, like for people. And he's like, dude, you should do it. You should go get your license. You should go do this. And I said, oh, dude, that's not what I want to do. He's like, yeah, but you think on the buy part, you can make 30K. And you manage it for a couple of years or 5 years, and then they're going to sell it with you, and you're going to do another 30K. I said, okay. He's like, dude, you can make a lot of money. I said, yeah, but is that what you want to do? And he was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I want to make money. I was like, no, that's not what I asked you. Does that align with what you want to do? And his dad, and he's 18. I mean,
Yeah.
this stuff is like will blow your mind if you can accept it at 18. His
Yeah.
dad was like, look, he loves this shit. He loves buying and selling real estate for people. And I was like, and I turned and I was like, if this is what you're going to do, be world class doing it. Be the best damn realtor you can be. And add as much value to all these people. Don't just do it for the money. Period. And he was like, well, that's an interesting way to look at it. And I said, you say 30K is a lot, but what if you're making $500,000 a month? I'm just going to throw that out there. Is that still a lot of money? And he was like, I understand. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I said, on the other hand, what is the reason you would get your license? Is it just to help people buy and sell, or is there another reason? And he just it was just like mind blowing. And he was like, oh, I guess that makes a lot of sense. It's like, I know. So when you start making decisions based off what you want and off your values, like what you said, and not off your emotion to go follow money and go chase money over here and go chase money over here, that's when you can really make some good quality decisions. And you can really serve other people. So
Yep.
that's my 2 cents. And that's what I think off of what you said, the list of things, that's the biggest one for me. Cause that's really kind of like where I'm at. Like it's where my paradigm has shifted to is, and I drilled somebody at the meetup last night about it. Like drilled him about what he wants. And he was like, I don't know. Like he got upset. Like he was not
Yeah.
crying. He just you could see it in his eyes. He was like, stop talking to me. And people were, there's 30 people there yesterday. And it was just like, like he wanted to ask a question, and I hit him with that question. What do you want? What do you want to do? And he had no idea. Most people don't. Like I literally surveyed the room. I was like, has anybody in here ever thought about what they really want? Has
Did you
anybody ever
read
heard of
them?
a perfect average day?
Did you read them your future self?
I offered. I said, if you want to see it, because I had just read it earlier yesterday
Yeah.
on our call.
Right.
I was like, I'll read it to you. I'll give you an example and I'll read you one, but I want to go through yours first. And I asked everybody, I said, what because I took that book with me. I took my journal with me
Mhm.
and took it in the meetup just for that. Like literally just for that reason. I was like, I know we're gonna hit it. We hit it every single meetup.
Right.
Everybody hits it. And so I was like, look, I'll read you mine if you want to hear it. But if you don't want to hear it, like that's totally okay with me. But I want to know what you want. And literally, like we went through it, and he was like, "Well, I guess and he's a landscaper. He's like, I'll just still work like I work today." And I was like, "Is that really what you want to do?" He was like, "Oh, I like working." But it's that, and I used to be in that, like that paradigm of you need to be working every day. Like it's cool to be working every day. This is what I do. This is the person that I have assumed. Like we talked about the paradigm of like I used to wear boots everywhere, like cowboy boots everywhere.
Cowboy
You
boots?
wouldn't find me
Yeah.
without them. Yeah, you would not find me without them. But I was in that paradigm of the country boy. This is what we wear. It's cool. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of like this is how this is how I've been. And then eventually, I stepped back and I said, "What do I really want? What is that? You heard it. What is that 7-figure image of myself? What's that self image?" And when you look at that and you write it down specifically, like characteristics, you start dressing like that. You start acting like that. And you already step into that. And that's for him, like what I was trying to get him to do yesterday. I got him to pretty much give me 80% of a perfect day for him. You still, yeah. Your headset down? Can you still hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. Oh, you're on mute. So, anyways, I'll keep going. So,
No, we're good.
we're
good.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but I went through it with him, and I had people come up. Like he left. Him and his wife just left. They didn't even say bye. They just like walked out the back door. I had like 4 people come up to me, and they're like, "Can you do that with me? Like, can you walk me through this?" And I was like, "Sit down. Let's talk about it." But we did it. Other people were listening, and it's just it's mind blowing when you go through something like that. And then I surveyed the room. I was like, "Has anybody here ever heard about a perfect average day?" 30 something people in the room, including all of us. There's like 36 people in the room or something like that at this point. And they're like, "No, nobody's ever heard of it." And I was like, "Okay. So let's go through this exercise." And I'm sorry, I think his name was Josh. I was like, "I'm sorry, Josh. You're like, I'm about to pick on you. Like, let's go through this. Like honestly." And and after, he literally started with, "I'm gonna be a landscaper and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're gonna do landscaping, be the best damn landscaper there is. Like, period. Be world class."
Yeah.
But he was like, "Well, I'll still cut like 3 yards a day, I'm sure." I was like, "Okay, but do you want to?" And he was like, I mean, yeah." And so we went through this thing, right? Like over and over. Come to find out, he wants to play golf for 4 hours during the day. He wants to eat breakfast with his wife. He does not want to take his kids to school. We want to throw them on the bus. And I told him, I was like, "Let's throw them on the bus." He's like looking at his wife, like, "Should I do this? Should I say this?" And I'm like, "If you guys have the same perfect average day, one of you are lying. You should have separate days." So we just went down this rabbit hole, and it was super uncomfortable for him. But I was like, "Yeah, but you know what I did is from here on out, he will always remember this, and he would think about it." And I told him, I said, "You're going to go home and you're going to think about this. You're going to think about the rest of your life. You're going to go home. You're going to think about it tomorrow. You're going to think about it the next day and the next day." And I told him like what to do. Start writing it down. And his wife was just like mind blown. And so it was really cool to see if they would accept it. And I would say like 10% of the people in there accepted it. Like actually listen. Because there was a lot of young construction guys in there.
Yep.
That have that paradigm of, "I'm just a construction guy. I'm going to make $15 an hour for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be happy." Which again, if that's really what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, but we went back to like when we were 12. What was our dream? And we like worked through this, and I told him like my dream was to have a Lamborghini Murcielago, a green one, when I was 12, 14 years old. That was my dream. So as we grew, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play MLB." And I was like, "Obviously, I'm not in the MLB because I'm standing here with you guys." And I said, I was like, "Man, I'm gonna do what?"
I said it's the off season.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Yes, I'm home right now. I put on a little weight.
That's right.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah. So we went through this, and and it's good to give an example. And I said, "What happened to all your dreams? Honestly, what happened to them?" I'll tell you what happened to them. You adjusted them to society because you go to school, go to college, get a job, you make $60K a year, $75K a year. Again, if that's what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. But then you pull your dreams down. That Lamborghini turns into a Range Rover, turns into a Toyota Camry, a nice Toyota Camry.
Right.
And you're like, "Well, it's sporty." I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But your dreams start coming down to match society. Like, your dreams are like way up here. Society's like right here. And then you just kind of like level it out and you push on. And when I said that, like everybody's eyes were like, "Holy shit, he's so right." I was like, "I know I'm right." Literally conversation like 100 times with myself and everybody else. So I love the mindset stuff. We're going through a program right now. When we have the mindset stuff in STR Secrets, like heavy. But then we kind of hear it from the guy that's teaching all of them, and it's pretty incredible. So
cool.
I'm big on it now. I can say that. Like, I'm not big on it now. That's a weird way to say it. I'm 100% bought in to the mindset. That's a better way to say it. I'm big on it now.
Big on it now. All right. Well, that leads us into the last one. Mr. Damon John, the People's Shark himself. That was a great conversation that Mike and Bill had on stage. Takeaways from him. You learn from two things: mentors and mistakes. Responsibility must be taken, not given. We don't invest in deals; we invest in people.
Dude, that is so right. I don't even know what to say.
OPM. What does OPM stand for?
Other people's money, baby. Other people's money.
If you're Robert Kiyosaki, if you're Damon John, it's other people's minds.
Oh, I didn't get to watch Damon John. I only watched Shogun because we all like left from the booth. We supported him. He killed it.
Yeah,
absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
And we all came back.
He did. Yeah.
So, but we got the recording, so we're gonna sit down with some popcorn and watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So lever other people's minds, leverage that. And he said, you must barter, trade, and extract the most out of everyone, which I thought was interesting concept.
Say it again. Say that again.
You must barter, trade, and extract the most out of everyone.
Depending on what he meant, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, he didn't go into depth, but I think it goes along with the lines of leveraging their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said it shortly thereafter, towards the end of his
I think
conversation.
we could dissect that like big time. So I want to say this. Everybody listening, everybody who's watching, you, me, everybody. There's something that's said that, every idea, every thought you have has come from somewhere.
Mhm.
Usually, they all come from somewhere. It's somebody else's impersonation or impression or belief or opinion or whatever that's portrayed on you, and you believe it because they give it to you with such high persuasion because they fully believe it. And so what happens is people just automatically believe it. They automatically attach themselves to this idea when it's not even their own. It could be an idea that doesn't make sense. And so when you go through this stuff, you have to really see, you have to really listen. So this Damon John dude, he's a baller. But if you sit back and listen, you probably don't agree really with everything he says. But some people will go in there with a mind open, absolutely open, with no protection, and they'll just absorb it all. And they'll absorb everything from Mike and everything. And I can honestly say 99.999% of stuff that Mike Shogun says, I resonate with. There's a couple things every once in a while I'm like, yeah, are you sure? And then he'll elaborate. I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So there's not many people that I do that with. Like a lot of the coaches, we all have different mindsets, about certain things and different thoughts.
Mhm.
But we all come back together and we're like, yeah, we all support this, in some fashion or whatever. Sales is one way to do it. We all have a different opinion on sales and how you should do this. But back to the people that spoke on stage, there's people that speak on stage that one should not. But two, the ideas that come out of their mouth just came from somebody else. So they may not fully understand it. So really think about some of this stuff as you go and as you listen and as you read books and all that stuff.
Mhm.
If you firmly believe it with everything you got. But try to understand it to a point. Like that sentence from Damon John, the reason, and I'll tell you why. If you're not going to believe it, you need to have a reason. Read it one more time for me, and I'll tell you why I don't agree with it.
You must barter, trade, and extract the most out of everyone.
I believe you should first serve that person. And you should give back to that person. And you should help that person in any fashion, any form, period.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, figure out what they want and help them that way. Because everything you want will be delivered.
Right.
As long as you're in the given mood.
He did say earlier, towards the beginning of his conversation, to pay it forward.
Okay. So I didn't watch the. I have to watch it. I haven't.
Yeah,
I
you'll
didn't
have,
watch it.
yeah, you'll have
But
to
just
watch.
that sentence, like
Yeah,
that's a big takeaway.
right.
But I don't because in my. I mean, I'm just glad he didn't say take or get everything you can.
Right.
So I would
And
say like some of that maybe I do if we like really talked about it. But
yeah,
as general, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say after you watch it, we'll come
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
talk about it more. You know, and the
Yeah.
other thing that he did mention was, you know, he wants to leave a legacy for his children, not not an inheritance as well.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So it
I want to leave
yeah,
them with skills on how to do stuff, not
yep,
not $100 million.
yep.
Period.
Cool,
Okay.
man. Yeah, I think the last thing to wrap it up, and I mentioned it on your call yesterday, but I wanted to save it for here for the end.
You're
Was
not wearing pants.
yeah. Was Damon. He said, no warm and fuzzy bullshit up here. When you visualize it, it happens.
Say it one more time.
No warm and fuzzy bullshit up here. When you visualize it, it happens.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep. I agree. But you have to do more than just visualize it.
You do.
You have to take that to the next level. And he knows that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. You can't
For
just say, I want this, and then you get it. So, yeah. It was a good conference, dude. We helped a lot of people. There was I don't know if you heard, everybody heard this. I had no idea, but I talked to this lady first person. She came over to the booth, and she had a fire burn house, like two days before she got to the conference. It was an STR.
Oh, wow.
And her mind, dude, if you could see it, it was like graffiti and like confetti all over the place. If you could see inside of her mind.
Yeah.
And so we like just boxed up this idea of this fire burn house because she had like, I don't remember, 6 houses or something.
Mm-hmm.
We like boxed it up and just moved it over and said like, let's deal with that separately than everything else. And because the adjuster hasn't even been to the house yet. Like, okay, there's only so much we can do. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you can't, like shit still has to go. You still have to move forward. So
Right.
we talked for like, I would say total with me and another guy, we talked with her for probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
It's awesome.
Maybe it wasn't that long, but it was a long time. We just stood there and talked, and I just helped her through going step by step by step. And so that was a big one for me. And then I would say like another really big one for me. And of course, I didn't watch all the conference, but people came back. We talked about what they heard because people would come straight to the booth and they're like, I want some help on the listing, or I want some help here. I've got some questions here. We've got one guy that and a lot of people have cash flow problems. I think everybody has a cash flow problem at some point. Everybody. And so guy comes over, he's a ton of properties. And this happened with a lady too. They both came over. Ton of properties. This one lady, she did like 23.5 for the month. She netted $500. Like that's it. She didn't make any money. So really kind of like looking at people's like P&Ls and figuring out what they're spending their money on. Are they charging enough in other areas of the business that they could charge money? Like optimization fees are big. Onboarding fees are big.
Mm-hmm.
But like really understanding your numbers and help. Like that's what we did. Like it was really weird because it was just supposed to be listings, but people would come over like I have a problem. I have a big problem. And then them leaving with actionable items and say like, do this, 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 and this, and then give me a call or send me a picture of it or whatever. That's the stuff that hits home for me. Like, that's the stuff that really gets me going and gets me up the next day. Because, we pulled like 16, 17 hours a day over there.
Yeah.
Like, Allie and I got there like 6:30 one morning and just cleaned the whole booth. And then people were just rolling in at 7.
Yeah.
And the last day we pulled like 22 hours between the booth and then we took Brittany to the bars right there in Nashville.
Nice.
So we had a lot of fun. The conference was a lot of fun, and I think everybody should stay on the high from the conference for ever till next year. So,
Yes, sir.
that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yes.
Okay, so Tell them about next week. We're going to do this again next week?
Next week, we'll be there. Be here.
Be here. Be here, be square.
That's right. We won't be late next week.
Yeah, you were late. Happy Valentine's Day. And I'm just kidding. I was late. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And we will see you later.
He's Kyle Fugate. I am Jeremy Worths. Until next week.